everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. This video, I absolutely had to do it. The makeup nerd in me definitely was paying attention when I was going through my day of labor leading up to the delivery of baby Rhett. It fascinates me what can last makeup-wise through that whole day and beyond, actually. I'm embarrassed to admit how long I actually had my makeup on, y'all. It wasn't just 24 hours, it was 36 hours. I did not take it off until I came home and showered at the end of that whole situation. It kind of got to the point where, like, the morning after there was a lot going on and I thought, okay, I'll have a little downtime here to redo my makeup. Yes, the person who specifically packed a really nice little makeup bag to take to the hospital. There were people in and out of our room a lot. There was the hearing test stuff that I described in the last vlog. That was sort of preoccupying my mind and I just like didn't care to undo or redo the makeup. I just kind of looked at myself in the mirror at one point and said, well, it looks like it's still there. I think I'll just wait until I go home and shower. There's really nothing like a home shower situation. So we were only in the hospital for 24 hours once the baby came, but then there was that whole day of labor leading up to that point. Now I was induced and that's kind of why I was able to really go about my morning in a very normal way. Like we got to the hospital around 7:30 and I was able to get up and just do what I do, you know? It would have been weird for me to not get up and put my makeup on that day. So that was kind of why I was able to fully like do what I wanted. I explained more about the induction in the actual birth vlog video, but just a little disclaimer here. I totally understand that for a lot of people you have no idea when you're gonna go into labor. You may or may not have makeup on and it really does not matter. Like the big story here is you're having a baby. The tiny side note is the fact that maybe the makeup lasted really well and that kind of does interest me. So reporting back to you in this video, I was thinking about maybe I'll just sit down and recreate the whole face, but I thought maybe it might be too lengthy and I really wanted to get to the point of the 5 key products that I think really made a difference. And I'll mention, you know, what else I had on if you're curious, but I do think there were certain things, just a few certain products that really helped the look last all day long. And then some. Actually, the following morning when a nurse came in, she was like, oh, you've gotten yourself all together. You look so nice. I'm like, oh no, this is just leftover. Just the leftovers, thank you so much. So after getting my skincare on, you know, my moisturizer and everything, the foundation that I chose, and this I think is one of the 5 keys to the look, is the Maybelline SUPERSTAY. That's what I was wearing and I couldn't believe, like looking back on the actual delivery video, just the look of my skin. It seemed so covered yet radiant and really not too heavy, but just like my skin looked really naturally good and you just can't argue with the staying power of this stuff. I put it on just with my little like mini Real Techniques Expert face brush and I have it in the shade Natural Ivory and I use about a full pump all over the skin and you don't want to wait too long as you blend it in, although I don't feel like it sets too quickly. And unlike a lot of really long wearing matte foundations, this seems to retain just a little bit of moisture on the skin. Like once it's all blended in, you can still kind of feel like, okay, I don't feel 100% dry. I'm not dewy sticky, but I'm not like cakey looking at the end of it all. And I think that really made a difference for the whole look. And during labor, I definitely went through the whole gamut of emotions. I definitely cried that day, the next day, and this stuff was still hanging around. So I got to give that huge props. Now, moving on to concealer, I would say this is not really a key product. It's just sort of a random one that I reached for. It's the All Hours Concealer from YSL. I think I may have just used this because I do know that it has good staying power, but it wasn't really like a game changer for the look, I don't think. There are multiple other concealers that I think would have done just fine, but I do have this in the shade 40 PA2, and I just used it around the under eye area, a little redness around the nose, like no big deal, just blend it in and go. And then I set that with my Laura Mercier pressed translucent powder. I do love this stuff. I think this works so nicely around the under eye, the T-zone, that's where I used it. I just use it with my e.l.f. small tapered brush. I feel like, is it a key to the look? Well, it probably did help my staying power, but I think there are various other powders that could have been used in that capacity and we still would have been just fine. But I must say, I do love this stuff. I don't really wear it all over the face, just more like under eye and T-zone. As far as bronzer, blush, and highlight go, I don't really feel like any of these were necessarily keys to the staying power of my look. They came together, they look nice. I'll tell you what they were, but I don't think they were a make it or break it staying power solution or anything. But I wore my little gingerbread bronzer. I talked about this in a recent video. It's the Too Faced Gingerbread Tan Spicy Bronzer. I love the little satin finish in this product and the fact that it's not too dark. I can kind of use it for a subtle contour, but it just looks really nice and natural on my skin. Absolutely love this CoverGirl Cheekers blush in the shade Brick Rose. Kind of a works with anything sort of blush shade. I like the little bit of depth that it has, kind of like a neutral mixed in with a dusty rose type color. I would say this maybe has a little bit of a satin finish to it as well. And then for just a really subtle highlight for this look, I didn't want to go overboard. I didn't want something that was going to, you know, in different unflattering lighting, just like put a huge focus on my pores or fine lines around the eyes or anything. I just wanted a soft highlight, and this is what I had handy, my little Hourglass Ghost blush palette. And the one shade in there, it's the one called Brilliant Nude. This actually functions a lot like a highlight for me, so I just popped that on the cheekbone area. Big key to the look, I think, in terms of locking in the face is the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. I happen to have the Summer Solstice like scent here, but 4 spritzes of this all over the face. I am a believer that it actually does something, that it locks in the look. It really helps. I think Urban Decay All Nighter, whether you have a full size or even a smaller size, the sprayers are very effective, and I don't feel like I have to go overboard, like going mist, 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 mist all over. Like just a few will really do the job, and I do notice a difference when I've got it on. So why skip that on a day like the day you're gonna give birth? For brows, also, I don't feel this was a real key to the look. A lot of different things I think could have worked, but I used this Maybelline Brow Precise that I had picked up not all that long ago in my Walmart. Like, what are the most popular things? What are the dwindling products in my Walmart, and why are they so popular? So I used that one, and I have that in the shade, pretty sure that's in the shade Deep Brown, and then I just sort of set the brows with my Busy Gal brows in Black Brown. Probably would have used my Almay, but I knew that that was in my hospital bag already packed up. Then I primed my eyes with my Milani eyeshadow primer, and also not necessarily a key to the look as far as eyeshadow. I used this Viseart, it's the Neutral Mattes Milo palette. I do think that Viseart shadows tend to last better than your average shadow. That being said, it's not the only thing I could have reached for that would have given me a really good result, you know? So do what you want here. Not a total key to the look, but I will describe what I did with this palette because I do love it. I think there's a lot of shades in this all matte palette that are really close, and they give you that easy blending gradient that I've talked about with different palettes. So like I went to my crease with this shade up here in the corner, kind of a soft warm brown, and I just got everything going there, got a little definition, and then deepened it up with the shade just underneath it, which is a little bit richer brown. And once I felt like I got that all blended out, I moved right over to this reddish shade and just applied a little bit of that to the outer corner. I wasn't going for a real intense like red poppin' look for this day, but I do just love how all of those colors mix. And then kind of like one of the lighter shades in this palette, the peach that's up in the corner, I like to use that on my lid a lot of times when I'm pulling this out. And then down to this plummy shade. Absolutely love this. A teeny bit goes a long way, like one gentle dab into the palette, and I patted that on the outer part of my lid and up into the crease. Then pull back in my crease brush so I can sort of blend it out, smoke it out a bit more, just get that working in harmony with all of the other crease shades. And then I went back to my light peach and used that as a blender sort of just around the edges. I also recall on that day my eyes looked just kind of red. They felt actually a little irritated that morning, and I went down to this blue and I just very gently used that on the lower lash line. Not in a capacity where anybody really would have noticed that there was major blue there, but I thought it might be a little brightening. But yeah, my eyes actually felt pretty irritated that morning. It was kind of weird. But the last 2 steps for the eyes, I think these are definite keys to the look. One of them is the Milani Stay Put Matte 17-Hour Wear Liquid Liner. Some of these things with like the 24-hour staying power claim or 17-hour, like they could go even beyond this with their claims because this lasted so well, and you will totally know if your eyeliner or your mascara is screwing you over and not lasting. So this really stayed in place all day. I just went all across my upper lash line. I used the shade called Coffee Matte, which is like kind of a black brown. I think I've pretty much run out of my black shade that I have this in, but it's just a great all-purpose, very basic eyeliner, there, and you can definitely count on it staying. The mascara is a huge part of this look, very, very important. If you foresee a situation where you might be crying, you have got to choose the right mascara. And I have had major trust issues with a lot of mascaras that I've been like, you know, I've been testing them on my lower lashes, and that's an area where I get a lot of smudges. So I'll go for something that claims to be waterproof, and a lot of times it's not waterproof, I'm here to say. So I want to say about a week or so before I ended up giving birth, I did reorder my Thrive liquid lash extensions. So I've gone through a whole tube of this stuff, and this is really the no-fail mascara product because it's a tubing mascara, okay? And I don't really think all tubing mascaras are necessarily created equal, but this one is like flawless. Like, you can trust it on upper lashes, lower lashes, and the reason why it works so well is that it's like basically incapable of smudging and flaking off. It cannot smear on you. When it comes time to take this off, it comes off like little tubes that just basically almost peel away from your lashes, you know? It's a really brilliant product, and I swear I had no smudging at all, and I bawled like a baby when my little one let out his first cry. And I continued to cry into the next day, just very emotional, you know? Hormones, emotions are running high, and I love this stuff. And I like the brush. I like that it's a little bit tapered toward the tip. The bristles are really short. It's rubber bristles, and it actually builds on itself a little bit better than I remember back when I first got my first tube. I think I was a little bit critical of this stuff. I'm not sure how much of an attempt I really made at that time to build it, but if you kind of add on another layer before it gets totally dry, before the first coat totally dries, you can add a little more, and it really gives you some nice length and no weird funky ends. Like, I'm super happy with this stuff because I can imagine so many other mascaras I could have chosen, and by that next day I'd be like taking a Q-tip under my eye, like, let's get rid of the residue already. And then finally, to the last product here, which I think is another key to the look, so my fifth key to the great staying power, I use my BESAME Dusty Rose lipstick, and I do have the mini here, and this was a lipstick I wore when giving birth to baby Eve, and I remembered it lasting so well, and it lasted really well this time around too. None of this stuff, might I add, was touched up. Like, I didn't do anything to my face as the day went on going through labor. The only thing I did was like put my hair in a bun. Beauty-wise, nothing was added or tacked on. And you can kind of see, like, in later clips the following day, like, I can see remnants of this. It's not like it wore like 100% for 36 hours, but it definitely got me through the labor. And this shade, I just think it's so me. I love this berry color. I think it really livens up the face. It's like enough color to really make everything pop and look really radiant, but not so much like that it's an overwhelming shade on the face, you know what I mean? And BESAME lipsticks are just so pigmented. They have fantastic staying power, especially when you follow their little key, their little secret trick to application, which is put it on, and you could do this with a lip brush as well, but you pop it on, blot it off, put on more, and blot again, and you've got really locked in staying power that way. So I love Dusty Rose. I think it's kind of like a little lucky charm to me, but I have rounded up a similar color and probably a close staying power experience with the Neutrogena Lip Show in the shade called Round of Applause. It's maybe a little less berry, a teeny bit more like on the neutral side, but still a really close color. And I like the way that feels and goes on. So if you're looking for a lower cost alternative, that is out there. So that kind of sums up my face of makeup that got me through not only the whole day of having a baby, but into the next day as well, until that following night when I took a shower and washed it all off. And I definitely like was looking at my face wipe saying, how is there still foundation coming off here? So the 5 keys to the look, just to really review and hone in on those things that I think made the biggest difference. The Maybelline Superstay foundation just wore fabulously. I love that stuff. Setting the whole face with Urban Decay All Nighter I think was a really smart thing to do. The MILANI Stay Put Matte 17-Hour Liquid Liner, that lasts so well. It really is a true like waterproof eyeliner. The Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions, what a great mascara. You do not have to worry about it one bit. And then finally, like I just said, the BESAME Dusty Rose lipstick. They have a great like lineup of shades in that line, especially if you're into reds. They do a lot of different variations on red, but if you like berry, dusty rose is what you want to go for from BESAME for sure. And the full-size lipsticks, I mean, they'll last you so long because you just don't have to do a lot of touch-ups here. But I hope this was interesting, you guys. It really is fascinating to me when I think about makeup that survived childbirth. I know I did this video in the past. I think it was when I gave birth to Belle, and it's interesting to see what makeup really hangs in there when it's been tested, and then like what periphery products like the eyeshadow, the blushes and stuff like that could have been different products, could have swapped in something else. But those key 5 things I think were pretty important. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.